Greetings, comrades! This is Caleb, back to another retro gaming video. We're going back to the Super Nintendo with another classic for me. One of the only games we owned for the Super Nintendo at the time, and yeah. This definitely has a few memories with me. Not as many as Firepower 2000, but, you know, I played this game quite a bit too, because I loved shooters back in the day. This is Strike Gunner S.T.G. Yeah, I actually found a copy on eBay. I showed off on a retro game haul a while back. Yeah, definitely had some memories of this game. One of the only video games my mother ever played. I miss you, Mom. And yeah. And at the time, I didn't know this was actually a port of an arcade game. Which I saw footage of it lately, and it's, doesn't look too bad. But of course, I have memories with the Super Nintendo version, so that's what I'm playing. So I'm not sure. I guess in levels difficulty, yeah. I'll leave it on 1. You can change the amount of lives you have. You have a sound test, which I know a lot of games back in the day, you had to enter a cheat code to access a sound test, which some have them right out of the box, so kind of weird that, but hey. But yeah, this is a really interesting shooter, even at the time. You know, it plays like a traditional vertical shoot 'em up, but what's interesting is that before every mission, you get to choose between a selection of weapons. And I might as well show you real quick. Press the right button here. So you have quite a few different weapons to choose from. You got like lasers, you got missiles, like little side fighters and stuff like that. And also this gun here, the Auto Vulcan. Now, interesting story. Way back in the day when I was a little kid, and my mom said she called this the PP gun. I don't know why, but she did. Yeah, if you don't select a weapon, it'll just choose one automatically. So I got my little shield here. Now, as far as gameplay goes, yeah, it's a traditional vertical shoot 'em up. And also, it's not going to blow your socks off or anything like that. It's not like a cave shoot or anything like that. And I just crashed into me. It's been so long since I played this game, so yeah. But you know, Super Nintendo shooters, you know, you can't expect much in terms of complexity. But that was the thing that stood out. You have a selection of weapons to choose from. Here you got a little shield. And once the level's over, if I remember, it was like 8 stages. And they're kind of long. If I remember. They go quite a bit, then you fight a boss. Yeah, what's interesting, once you use that weapon, you can't use it anymore. Like, it's pretty much one and done. Once you use it in that stage, that's it. You gotta choose a different weapon. And again, there's quite a few weapons to choose from. And a lot of these enemies are bullet sponges. Unless you have a good weapon on you, then you're pretty much gonna be shooting all day, all night. As you can see, some of the big enemies are based on real life aircraft, like the Ospreys there. You have a boss that looks like a B-1B Lancer. And naturally, the bosses are traditional, like, you know, stereotypical, like giant airplane, giant tank, you know, giant battleship, whatever. Then you eventually go into space. Yeah, a little F-14 Tomcat here flies into space. By the way, the F-14 Tomcat, probably my favorite, like, military aircraft. At least, you know, airplane. When it comes to helicopters, it's no doubt the Apache. Yeah, it's basically a run-on-the-mill shooter, just with a selection of weapons to choose from. And one thing I forgot to mention, which is really interesting, if you're playing with a second player, you can actually combine your planes into one super plane, and you give it more firepower. Of course, I only play by myself, but if you have a second player, that's the unique thing about this show. I don't know if I like that in the arcade version. I never played the arcade version. I didn't even know there was an arcade version until many years later. Yeah, you play 2 players. I think you press the shoulder buttons when you're close to each other. And I think depending on what position you're in, it'll change the appearance of your plane. And I don't remember how the gameplay works. I think one player moves, the other person fires. I don't know, it's been so long. Oh, there's the Lancer I was talking about, the B1B. Keep forgetting I have my shield. Yeah, it doesn't stay on, it'll turn off eventually. Yeah, see, like I said, some of these enemies are bullet sponges. But yeah, I mentioned earlier one of the weapons that auto aim Vulcan. My mom called it the PP gun. I don't know why. Even back then, even to this day, I don't know why. You saw it, it looks nothing like a PP. It looks nothing like a dick. Alright, boss time. See, giant airplane. That is pretty cool. You see the shadow go overhead. I mean, not original now, but at the time, you know, I was only like 5 or 6 years old when this game came out. Extra life. The music's decent, but it is repetitive. Up until you get to the space levels, it's like the same 2 stage tracks. Stage 1 complete. Yeah. Atomic missile. This is like a giant bomb. Got a mega beam cannon. It's one of my favorite weapons in this game. Let's see, I guess we'll go with this one here. Yeah. Not the most well-known shooter on the Super Nintendo. There are some bigger ones like, you know, Gradius 3. Of course, Firepower 2000. You know, Super R-Type. Which, well, R-Type games are hard as nails for me. Yeah. So I don't know if I can do turbo on here. I'm using the Ls2 again. I'm pretty sure I can. I like it does that like fading echo when you pause in the game. The music does a fading echo. I think you can. I think. Yeah, trap me. know, like I said, bullet sponges. Yeah, I didn't play this game as much as Firepower 2000, but I did play this game quite a bit. I even beat it a few times. I always thought the different weapons were kind of cool. But the weapons are one and done. Like I said, once you beat that stage, you can't use a weapon again. And you know, since it's a Super Nintendo, I just hold, you know, keep firing with B and just press A to fire the special weapon. And you do have limited ammo for the weapons, but you can replenish it. Like I said, these stages are pretty long. But in a way, there's a lot of replayability. Because then you can try different stages with, like, as you play through it again, you can try, like, different stages of different weapons at different stages and whatnot. Should we get into the desert soon? We'll probably play till we get to the 3rd level boss, and then we'll call the video. It's so weird playing this with the 8-directional D-pad. Yeah, remember this is the 16-bit era. This is before analog joysticks became more commonplace. So it's just 8 directions you're moving. So yeah, definitely compared to modern shooters these days, you know, definitely hasn't aged well. I always thought that was a pig. Like, you see the front almost look like the snout. I don't know. Even back as a kid, I had a weird imagination. But didn't we all? If you didn't have a weird imagination, then yeah, you probably didn't have a great childhood. I was always draw like stick figures of guns. You know, make like mock-ups of my own like shooters and whatnot. Yeah, I was a pretty interesting kid back then, that's for sure. See if I can upgrade my weapon here. I always thought this boss was easy. It just circles around, all you gotta do is dodge the missiles. I said I was getting blown up by a missile. Alright, one more stage, we'll call the video. So let's go ahead and heat arrow. Spray missile. You know what? I want to do laser cannon. Because who doesn't like lasers? Alright. If I recall, the Mega Beam cannon don't use a lot of energy. It's not like you destroy enemies and you get power-ups. They come at fixed intervals. Yeah, I might check out the arcade version of this later. Like I said, till much later, I didn't know this was like a port of an arcade game. And looking at the footage, it's quite a bit different. The bosses are different too. But yeah, definitely have quite. Now, we didn't own that many games for the Super Nintendo, but I remember, going to Hastings and sometimes Blockbuster, renting different Super Nintendo games, like the Mega Man X games, Gradius 3. I feel like platformers, and I remember playing the Terminator on the Super Nintendo. I remember playing it when I was in kindergarten. Yeah. I like how the bullets are coming out of the tank, not the turret. And I like how you die instantly until you spawn. Like, you get hit in a flash. You don't know you're dead until you see your blue bullets are no longer blue. Sort of hovercraft here. See, even with my special weapon, it takes a while to destroy it. I guess it might be easier depending on what weapon you use. I can't say for sure like one weapon's better than the other in certain levels. It's just like it's experimentation at that point. Like, you might have an easier time if you use, like, missiles instead of lasers, or maybe, you'd rather use a shield instead of, an atomic bomb. When it comes to weapons anyway, it's really up to you. It feels wasteful. I usually only use the special weapons in the bosses. Oh, we got a boss. There we go. So yeah, that is Strike Gunner S.T.G. One of the few games I actually owned for the Super Nintendo back in the day. And yeah, it's a fun shooter for its time. You know, there are far better shooters out there, but there are far worse too. And we'll close it off here. Oh, I forgot about this. That was like a camera flash or something. Yeah. But anyway. See that fading echo is kind of weird. But anyway, that is Strike Gunner S.T.G for the Super Nintendo. And this is Gaming Caleb signing out. You have a good day.